All right, welcome everybody. Today's practice is going to be focused, it's been a pretty short practice, focused on building strength and awareness on the inner lines of the legs, right? So your adductors. Interestingly enough, your adductors run fascially or with the tissue of your body connected to your pelvic floor. So we're also going to be paying attention to that relationship, the strength of the inner lines of the legs connected to the pelvic floor, which of course is connected to the breath as well. So start on your back. You'll need a yoga block. If you don't have a yoga block, you can use a rolled up towel would work, or something to kind of give you a little squeeze. And we'll start with the block between the knees. I've got it on the most narrow width. Just lie on your back, feet connected to the floor, and you want your feet to be just as wide as your knees. So not too wide, not too narrow. Start with just a couple breaths finding your neutral spine. And just a reminder, your neutral spine, I oftentimes lift my arms up to the ceiling and reach them towards the ceiling so that I can feel the backs of my ribs, that upper thoracic spine drop into the floor. So that's your upper back curve. And then your lower back curve you find by bringing your pubic bone in line with your two hip bones. So those three bones should make a level plane, like the rim of a bowl level. And that's usually, for most people, how you find your neutral spine to start. And it might feel very weird or foreign to you, especially if you're not used to being in this alignment. But just let's go with it to start. Give the block a little bit of a squeeze, just a little bit, and feel the inner lines of the legs. The adductors light up as you squeeze the block gently. You want to try not to bring this too much into your hip flexors, and then just let the block off a little bit, or let the squeeze off a little bit. And then again, just give it a little squeeze. And then as you inhale, let off a little bit. Now we're going to add some movement here. So as you exhale and squeeze, I want you to think of deepening your pelvic tilt, or deepening your low abs to tilt your pelvis under so your lower back flattens. And then on your inhale, release the squeeze and let your tailbone rock back to its neutral position. And again, exhale, squeeze the block, pull up through your pelvic floor, flattening your low back. So feel kind of how all that works together. Inhale, lengthen back to neutral. Let the squeeze release a little bit. All right, now we're going to add on. So exhale, squeeze the block, tilt your pelvis under, and begin to push through your feet. Use your butt muscles to lift your hips up. We're rolling up into this nice long bridge position. And notice in this particular bridge, I'm thinking of maintaining my neutral alignment. My knees, my hips, and my shoulders are in one long line. I feel my abs working a little bit so that I don't back bend. And then I'm going to squeeze the block a little bit more here at the top. Nice. Take a deep breath in. And then as you exhale, keep the squeeze of the block. Roll down your spine one vertebrae at a time. Keep squeezing, keep squeezing. See if you can find as much articulation until you find your tailbone at the bottom. Release the squeeze a little bit. Let's do that again. Exhale. So we're trying to get the connection of the breath, the pelvic floor, the strength of the adductors. I feel a little shaky there at the bottom. Just kind of notice how your body responds. Finding that long line of energy at the top. I'm thinking of my sternum melting down, my ribs connected into my body. My butt muscles are working to lift my hip bones up a little higher, and I'm squeezing the block. So lots going on right now. Deep breath in. Yes, exhale, roll back down. So we're really connecting into this deep core line of the body. Come all the way down to the tailbone. All right, we're going to do one last one and hold it at the top. Here we go. Exhale, curl the pelvis under. Squeeze the block. Find that midline connection. Rolling up. Take your time. Good. Now pause at the top. I want you to imagine the left side of your body's really still and stable, and then the right knee or the right inner leg is going to squeeze into the block and release a little and squeeze into the block. So from the outer eye, not much is going on, but hopefully you're feeling something here. I'm squeezing little pulses with just my right leg. I feel my glute working. You hopefully do too. Now change and try the left leg, squeezing, releasing, squeezing, releasing. Notice if one side feels a little bit harder or, right, just different than the other. One more time. Now we're squeezing the block equally with both legs, and then we're gonna roll down, bone by bone, until we get all the way to the bottom, neutral spine. Okay, one more time, roll it up. Some people might feel some knee, maybe discomfort, maybe some pulling around the knee. If that's you, then turn the block so it's a little wider. That might help. Good, now from here, we're in our bridge. I want you to see if you can keep your pelvis level and try to extend one leg. I'm gonna squeeze the block as I do this because that's gonna help me find stability. I'm gonna straighten one leg, point or flex the foot. Actually, let's do a couple point and flex here with that foot. Can you keep the hips level? Okay, now bend that knee, put the foot down, and we're gonna switch to the other side. I lowered my hips a little bit, so I'm gonna press them back up first, and then I reach the other leg, and I'm gonna point and flex, and point and flex. Remember, your abdominals are helping you here. Okay, bend the knee, and we're gonna try that one more time each side. Rest if you need to. Here we go. Extend the leg, point and flex. About 5 times. 3, 4, 5. Put the foot down, switch sides. Extend, point and flex. 2, 3. Check in with your pelvis, is it level? 5. Put the foot down. Inhale, squeeze the block at the top. Exhale, roll down. All the way to the bottom. Awesome. Take your block out. You can put it to the side. Hug your knees into your chest and just give yourself a nice gentle rock side to side. So, even though we're targeting the adductors, the inner legs, everything's connected in the body, right? So we're feeling some other things too, hopefully. Okay, we're gonna roll onto one side. So this comes straight out of our Pilates repertoire here. We're gonna bend our top leg. Put the foot on the floor and notice that I'm kind of externally rotating the hip here. If it's hard to hold your leg in this position, you can try to hold on to your ankle like so. If not, you can just put your hand here. So from here, my hips are stacked. I'm thinking about stability in my trunk, my spine, and I'm gonna lift the bottom leg up and down. So just a little lower leg lift here. Notice the inner line of the leg is what's facing the ceiling, right? It's working against gravity here. Try flexing your foot as you do these leg lifts. And see if you can keep the hip bones really still or your pelvic bones from shifting around too much. You'll feel some stability and bracing work with other muscles here, but the moving muscle is your adductor of your lower leg. So notice that. And the reason I've decided to do this class today is because I've recently realized that this part of my body lacks strength, and I'm always trying to find balance in the body. So maybe you're in need of this as well. One more time. Hold the leg up there. Try little tiny circles. 4, 3, 2, 1. Reverse it. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower the leg. Now stack the legs on top of each other. We're going to try squeezing the legs together and just lifting them both at once. So a little bit more work in your side body here. Lift both legs, lower both legs. Lift both legs. This is super tiny. Lower both legs. Lift and lower. Can you keep your pelvis stacked here? Lift and lower. Keep going, lift. Notice I've got my head all the way down to my arm. Legs squeeze together like you're trying to make one leg out of two. You've got 2 more of these. 1 more. And relax. Bend your knees so you can push yourself up to a seat, and we're just going to swing around to the other side. My top leg bends. My bottom leg stretches long, and I'm going to make sure that my hips are stacked. Use the hand to brace the ankle or put your hand down in front of you. Lower leg lifts. And lift. Now I already feel a difference on this side. Much easier on this side. So just kind of notice where you are with this. It's okay that the body is not symmetrical. Nobody's body is symmetrical. It's just the way that we're made. Keep going. Think of really trying to feel that inner line of the leg. I'm lifting as I exhale. One more. Hold it up there. Flexing the foot. We'll circle for 6. Tiny. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Reverse it. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Now we stack the legs on top of each other. Squeeze them together like you're trying to make one leg out of 2. And we lift both legs up and down and lift. So a little bit of work in that side body. Notice that contraction there. The legs are working just to maintain that squeeze to the midline position, right? Squeezing the inner legs together. Think about the upper inner leg squeezing. Nice, couple more. 4, 3, 2, 1 more, and 1, and relax. From here, we're gonna roll onto our stomach. Give your hips a little shake side to side, especially if you're feeling like, like that's a lot of work, like me. From here, we take one hand on top of the other to make a pillow for our forehead. And then we're gonna just make sure our shoulders are pressed down away from our ears, nice and wide on our back. We're gonna let our legs be about hips width apart, and we're gonna press our pelvis into the floor. So I'm thinking of my pubic bone really anchoring down, and then I'm gonna tuck my hips the slightest bit and lift my low abs like I'm zipping up a pair of tight jeans. I'm gonna hold on to that connection, and I'm gonna lift my right leg up, and this is so small. You're not gonna feel like you move a lot. Let's switch into the other leg, lift. And the reason it's so small is because our pelvis is gonna stay in that scooped, tucked under position. So we should feel the glutes active here. Try to lift from the top of the thigh and not bend your knee. So think about the very top of the thigh bone lifting. That knee stays completely straight. I'm just alternating here. Try not to take the tension into your upper body. Try to relax the shoulders, relax the neck. Keep going. Now, I want you to see if you can lift both legs up at the same time. Lift both legs up, hold them up, squeeze the legs together, making one leg out of two, open, and then lower. Try that again. Lift the legs, squeeze them together, open, and down. So notice my legs aren't going very high. It's because I'm really trying to maintain that pelvic position. Squeeze, open, and down. Lift, squeeze to the midline, open, and down. Now we lift and we do 10 squeezes back to back. 10, 9, 8, 7, really straight knees. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and lower. Let your hips drop or wiggle side to side. You can turn your head side to side. From here, we're gonna come up onto our hands and our knees. Let's take a little cat-cow just to get the spine moving. As you inhale, finding cow pose, heart up. Let your belly really relax here. As you exhale, squeeze through the abdominals and round your back. Really press the hands and the shins into the floor. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Scoop the tail, press into the ground. One more time. Inhale. Exhale. All right, you guys, tuck your toes under. Lift your hips up and back, downward facing dog. Take your feet back a little further so your dog is really long, and pedal your feet one heel down at a time. We're gonna finish with some standing work here. So walk your feet and your hands together. Roll up your spine one vertebrae at a time. And then take your legs into a wide second position, wide-legged stance here. And I've got external rotation in my legs. So toes turned out, I'm thinking of spiraling my thigh bones externally open. Take your arms out to a nice T, and then bend your knees. Take a plie, or just a knee bend, right? Now, as you straighten your knees, bring your arms down and in like you're hugging the midline. Squeeze your legs together. So if you had roller skates on, they'd be squeezing all the way together. And then try lifting your heels off the floor. Good, now go wide. So let's inhale here. And then as we exhale, we're gonna come up and we're gonna squeeze. So again, from the outer eye, it doesn't really look like much, but you're hugging to the middle. Inhale, exhale. Imagine those roller skates together. Inhale, exhale. Inhale. Now, pelvic floor. Almost lost my balance there. Pelvic floor is lifting here. Inhale, the pelvic floor opens. Exhale, pelvic floor pulls in and up. We squeeze, we squeeze, we squeeze. Couple more. Thinking of your crown of your head going straight up. Exhale. I'm getting shaky. Maybe you are too. Inhale. Exhale. Last time. Good. Now back to your plie. Stay in your plie and lift your heels up. And this doesn't have to be a high heel lift. And just hover it off the floor. We're just going to take little pulses. Exhale as you go up. Think of pelvic floor lifting. Every time you exhale, my thigh bones are pressing out. Couple more. 4, 3, 2, one more. 1. Straighten both legs. Turn your heels back so your toes are straight ahead. fold forward. Big, luscious stretch here. Let your head dangle. And then just bend one knee and then the other knee. Is a really great way to feel the passive stretch through the inner legs. Just nice and easy, shifting your weight from one side to the other. And then we're going to end, go ahead and stand up. We're going to end with a little challenge, a little plank challenge. So grab your block again. You're going to put it the skinny way between your ankles. And I'm kind of holding on to it nice and tight. Right? Inner feet, inner ankles, really hugging the block. We're going to inhale here, nice tall spine. As we exhale, drop your chin to your chest. Roll down your spine, one vertebrae at a time. Find the floor, bend your knees if you need to. Now you're going to walk out to plank, and I want you to see if you can hold on to that block. It might shift around a little bit, but just keep squeezing it between the inner ankles. Find your plank and squeeze the block. Squeeze. Squeeze. Holding plank. Make sure your hips aren't too high. Make sure they're definitely not sagging low, right? Find the Goldilocks position, strong. Keep squeezing the block. Squeezing the block. Squeezing the block. Now walk your hands back to your feet. Roll up your spine, grabbing your block on the way up, and we're going to transition and put it in between the inner thighs. This is going to feel a little different. Feet will have to be a little wider. Same exact thing. Roll down your spine, hugging the block, hugging the block. Walk it out to plank. Hugging the block. So now we're a little closer to the core, right? You can really feel. Now we're going to try a little side plank here. So I want you to roll onto the right foot. You're going to turn to the outer edge of that right foot, stacking your hips. See if you can find your balance, using the strength of that deep core line. Beautiful. Flexing the top foot. Take a big breath in. And then return to plank. See if you can use the body as a unit. Take your time. Roll to the outer edge of your left foot. And begin to open up into your side plank. Squeeze the block. Notice how much stability that can bring into this pose. Big inhale. Coming back to plank. Let's take about 3 more breaths here in plank. Push the ground away, nice and broad through your scapula. Squeezing the block. Take 1 more breath. Drop your knees. Take the block out, put it away. Child's pose. Slow down your breath here. Try to really relax. Let your shoulders relax. Let your hips drop towards your heels. Relax your abdominals. All right, everybody, you're done with your adductor practice. Good job.